there was someone coming from Canada. That's great.
Might be me.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
When's that event?
End of
29th, 30th of June.
Of June. Okay.
Come in.
I don't have any plans right now. We'll see.
2 days with me in The Hague, learning some great skills, life-changing skills.
Freddie, how long are you in Vegas?
A week.
Okay.
Why? How long are you there?
10 days.
Well, I'm bringing my son with me, and
Good.
I don't think I could live more than a week with him in Vegas.
Yeah, well, Vegas, that's too long to be there, but
Well, you know, I want to have some time with him, so I come out on the 16th. I go back on the 24th, I think it is.
okay.
So 7 actual days in Vegas. That'll be enough.
Well, if you want, I'm happy to be a negative influence in his life and show him some,
He can't
show him
wait
some
to
bad
meet you.
things.
Can't wait to meet you. He thinks you're a genius. So told him all about you.
Good, I've got him tricked.
Can't wait. Can't wait to meet you. I tell you, that'd be good. Make sure everyone's in. Yeah.
Is he attending anything or just coming to hang out?
Just coming to hang out.
Okay, good.
He might come and watch me present. I don't know. He's never seen me work yet.
No, come on.
No, he's never seen me work. No, he just thinks I'm the guy that puts the bins out and pays for the petrol, pays for his insurance. No,
How old is his son?
he's 21.
Has he seen any of your videos or any of the?
I'm not sure. He wouldn't tell me if he had.
Wow.
He watched the video of me collecting that bee swarm the other day. Thought that was pretty cool. In amongst 50,000 bees. Did you see it?
No.
Uh-uh.
I put it out on Facebook, but I've also put it on my TikTok. But yes, we had a swarm of bees, and I wanted to capture them in a box, and they were in a bush, so I had to get into the bush with these 50,000 bees, and then you have to shake them off the bush into the box. So you'll see me there, yeah, talking to my little bees. Got 2 beehives, and really that could have been a third, but they all decided to disappear again. So, but yeah, I want some hypnotic honey from them this year, and then next year I'll be on full production. Spoonful of honey, and you can do anything you want to do, achieve anything you want to achieve when you take a spoonful of the hypnotic honey. The master is hypnotic honey. I reckon I'll sell jars and jars of that.
I think that's great. I got my garden planted this week, Freddie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm gonna add a few more things, but I usually have a pretty nice garden.
Good. Yeah, I've got a lovely garden. You have to come over, Nick. You have to come and spend some time.
I'd love to.
Hi, Karen. You're coming to The Hague, aren't you, Karen?
Yep.
Gwen's coming to The Hague from Canada.
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll meet up again.
Yes, we will.
Yep.
Can't wait to meet you all in person. It'd be great.
Yeah. I think Mandy and Diane are going to be coming as well.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
Oh, that'd be
I
good.
was speaking to them on WhatsApp earlier today, and Diane's, I'm pushing her towards and pushing Mandy as well.
That'd be good.
Freddie, this is the modern hypnotism workshop or something different?
Modern hypnotism workshop, yeah. But we found, the last couple of times that people are getting great transformations while they're there,
I'm sure.
Hypnotize everyone as a group to start off with. And then when that, Karen, from working online, when you're working with each other, you can't help but get, some transformation, working with these tools. So, yeah, it's good. Really good. You can switch your cameras on if you want. I can see you there, Diana, but I can't see you, and it'd be nice to see you. Yes, it's nice to see you as well. Catherine, Claude, Nancy, Karen, Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie. Lovely to see you. How you doing? I can't hear it at the moment, Lizzie.
I'm not sure what I need to do. Hang
I
on.
can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Is that better?
I can hear you now. Yeah, good. Yeah.
I'm okay.
Good to see you. Oh, yeah. Am I saying your name right? Yes. So put your sound on.
Yeah, it's difficult for when you talk English, but you are saying Jette.
Yidda.
Yeah,
Yidda.
Jette.
Yidda.
Yidda.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah. I've been calling you Jet for years.
Yeah. I have listening many different way to say it, and
There was a
but
Beatles,
it's difficult to say.
there's a Beatles song called Jet, and it was
Yeah.
I always remind. Do you remember? I always think of you when I hear that song.
Yeah.
Yidda. Okay, got it now. Good.
My mother-in-law, they could not say Jette, so they say, okay, then we pronounce you Jenny Boo. But they could not say Jette. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, I know. My mother-in-law couldn't, for some reason, couldn't say the word Freddy. Just used to say that horrible person over there.
No, she loved me, so this was not the problem. The horrible, but my
That was the first one, by the way. The other two weren't too bad.
yeah. But my
Third
other
time's the
mother-in-law,
charm.
she didn't talk nice. No,
Mm.
you know you have a big bird. Normally is like with the river. I don't know what it's called in English. It's in Danish when you say the name, it's a very ugly name, and she called me this.
All right.
Yeah. So yes. Sometimes mother-in-laws is not funny to have.
I'm glad I've got your name right now. And Lizzie's here, and Lizzie, some of you can see Lizzie. Lizzie is a phenomenal hypnotherapist, and she worked for many years. Did my training years ago, and then she had a very tragic accident. So, and she's still in recovery. So it's really nice to see you, Lizzie.
Freddy, do you want to record on your end as well? I don't know
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I got mine going, but
Yeah, I will do.
all right. Helen, Julia, Gerard, Tyrone, Chris, Diane, Debbie, Nancy, Robert, Martin. We got a lot of people rolling in here. All right. I'm so excited for this week. I'm excited for these every week, but this one's going to be powerful.
Good to see you all. Nice to see you, Nancy. Chris, good to see you. Gerard, good to see you again. Helen from Newcastle, good to see you.
Who's from Newcastle?
Diana, nice to see you. All here. The gang's all here. Nice.
Good to see you, Freddie. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Good to see you both, Nick and Freddy.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
I felt very left out there.
Sorry, that was a bit rude.
No, I know.
Very
I know.
left out.
I know.
Ah,
No,
I'm
I know
very
what
insecure about these kind of things.
no, I know what you meant, Helen. It was
Yeah.
just good. It's good to see me. I know.
All right, we'll give.
Julia.
I think
Julia
we'll-
from Germany. Lovely. Right. Good to see you. Hi, Doreen.
I love that this is such an international experience every week from all over the world. So I appreciate everybody coming in from their independent time zones and tuning in to hang out with us. This is fun.
Maybe just put your put where you're from or where you're living in the chat so you can get a good idea of where everyone's from.
It's a great idea, Freddie. Now I remember why I keep you around.
Oh, it's not just my good looks.
Not just for the looks anymore.
Yeah, I'll believe you.
Scotland, New Zealand, UK, beautiful.
Elizabeth's here. Nice to see you.
Is anyone else here from Iowa? Do I have any of my people from Iowa on? Spain, Finland?
Edmonton, Canada. The Tartan Trancer, Tyrone Power. Show us your tartans then if you've got them on. No point calling yourself the Tartan Trancer if you haven't got tartans on. Hi, Linda. Linda's she's almost Irish now because every time I've met her like 2 or 3 times in Ireland, Linda McPhee. So she's as good as Irish.
All right, should we do a little introduction for tonight's topic, Freddie, or should we wait a minute? I think we got most of the people, most of our usual suspects are on.
Yeah. Okay, over to you.
All right, so I think earlier this year we did a little section on the power of persistence, but it was such an important character trait that I wanted to spend a whole breakthrough broadcast on it. So tonight, we are going to install the power of persistence. You will have a character trait of persistence deep in your nervous system. So if you do not want to be a persistent person, you might want to check out now because you cannot avoid having this program of being persistent. And we'll go over why that's important, and we'll examine some areas of your life. And then we're going to do a hypnosis process to make sure that you persist until you succeed. This is something that I've used on myself. I've used it with clients. And most of the time, people that come to me, they just don't stick with their goals long enough to succeed. And so if they look back on their life and they realize if they had just persisted, they would have been successful. So I want to read a chapter of the classic Think and Grow Rich. Not a whole chapter, just a page actually. All right, so Napoleon Hill says in this book, there is no substitute for persistence. It cannot be supplanted by any other quality. Remember this in the beginning, and it will hearten you when the going may seem difficult and slow. Those who have cultivated the habit of persistence seem to enjoy insurance against failure. No matter how many times they are defeated, they finally arrive near the top of the ladder. Sometimes it appears there is a hidden guide whose duty is to test people through all sorts of discouraging experiences. I'm sure many of you have felt like that at some point. Those who pick themselves up after defeat and keep trying arrive, and the world cries, "Bravo, I knew you could do it." The hidden guide lets no one enjoy great achievement without passing the persistence test. Those who can't take it simply do not make the grade. Those who can take it are bountifully rewarded for their persistence. They receive as their compensation whatever goal they are pursuing. That is not all. They receive something infinitely more important than material compensation. The knowledge that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. So this is one of, I think, the most important frames in life. I'm going to read that sentence again. That every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. A few people know from experience the soundness of persistence. They are the ones who have not accepted defeat as being anything more than temporary. They are the ones whose desires are so persistently applied that defeat is finally changed into victory. We who stand on the sidelines of life see the overwhelmingly large number who go down in defeat, never to rise again. We see the few who take the punishment of defeat as an urge to greater effort. These, fortunately, never learn to accept life's reverse gear. But what we do not see, what most of us never suspect of existing, is the silent but irresistible power which comes to the rescue of those who fight in the face of discouragement. If we speak of this power at all, we call it persistence and let it go at that. Last sentence. One thing we all know, if one does not possess persistence, one does not achieve noteworthy success in any calling. Ooh, powerful words. So Freddy's going to take you through a little self-examination exercise here where you're going to get to see the areas in your life where you may have lacked some of the persistence necessary for success. And this is going to start the wheels turning to give your system an upgrade. So Freddy, why don't you take the reins here and lead them through your process.
Okay. Right. If you're all ready to do this, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and just take a few breaths in. Most of you will go into trance because that's who you are now. You're tranced out all the time. So when you're ready to do this, make sure you're in a safe place. But Sophia, I mean, that's the place to be. Look at that. That's really getting ready for the evening. All right, great. Okay, take a breath in and hold it for a moment. As you breathe out, just allow your eyes to close. And I want you to allow your mind and your unconscious mind to take you to a time when, if you'd just been a bit stronger, you could have achieved something that you really wanted, but you just stopped before you succeeded. Think of a time in your life when you stopped before you succeeded at what you wanted to do. And as you think about that now, I want to ask your unconscious mind to allow you to know what that reason was, what its positive intention, or what seemed like a positive intention for stopping you when it did. What were you afraid of? What were you trying to avoid? What were you thinking at the time? And to make it clear to you why you stopped when you did. And now you know what that is. I'd like your unconscious mind to allow you to visualize what would have happened in your life if you had persisted, if you had pushed through that barrier, if you hadn't stopped when you did. And get a sense of that now. Think about that now. What would you have done if you just pushed through a bit harder, if you hadn't stopped when you did, if you hadn't let those doubts or fears or anxieties stop you when it did? What would you be doing now? How would your life be different? And what would you have achieved? Just get an understanding of that now. Because in a moment, I'm just going to count you up from 1 to 5. And you'll be ready for Nicholas to take you into the most profound, wonderful state of hypnosis. Know that whatever it is that you didn't achieve was a lesson to give you that advantage this evening to really tap into all of your strengths. As we go through the evening, you're going to think about what you want now, what you want to achieve now. And over the course of these next few minutes with Nicholas and me, we're going to get you into that state where you can push through any barrier. So get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eyes opening. Okay. It looked kind of painful for a few there. But know that that was the past. This is now. And what we're going to take you through this evening is going to enable you to tap into all of your strengths, all of your abilities, to persist in what you really want. What's going to serve you? What's going to give you that life that you want? Okay, I'm going to hand you over to Nick, and he's going to start this process.
Thanks, Freddie. So that's an exercise I often do with people just to, I want to train their brain to realize that it's safe for them to follow through with something until they succeed. Oftentimes our brain gives us meaning. Some of you may have had some awarenesses about why you stopped. You know, maybe you were going to succeed more than your peers. Maybe that was going to put you into a new job or a new position or something new that you weren't quite sure about yet. And so your brain just wanted to keep you where you were for protection. And so and you can do this on your own as well, go back and imagine where you stopped before and see yourself persisting through it, persisting all the way to success, and just keep telling your brain, this is safe, this is who I am. I'm a persistent person. And as you imagine that in the past, you will start to take on those traits. Your brain will say, oh, it's safe for me to keep going until I succeed, for me to reach that next level of success. So many times coaching clients come and they say, I sabotage myself. Just before I'm getting ready to succeed, I stop. And so if you can have this process of going back in time and imagine yourself persisting over and over until you feel like that type of person, everything can change. Does this make sense? Does anyone want to share their experience? Did anyone have any light bulb moments, any ahas we want to share before we move on? Diana, you got a big smile on your face. You want to share? Now she's laughing. No, not really. Okay. Anybody? You can leave it on comments too.
I can share a little bit.
Yeah, David, go ahead.
I was at a coffee shop before this call for about an hour, and at first blush, it didn't seem like what was very obvious in front and center was like a lack of energy, and which I wasn't kind of able in that hour able to sort of think my way out of, I guess, and I didn't get done what I intended to. And it was kind of a key thing because I've got a meeting tomorrow morning. And this seductive rationale that it wasn't a big deal to not get it done seemed to make sense. And frankly, if I had gotten done what it was, the meeting tomorrow morning, now I still have some control in the situation and opportunity to wake up earlier and get it done. But yeah, it would have just been easier to do what I had said I was going to in that moment. And what was, again, obvious seemed like a lack of energy and motivation. But I do know that the capacity is there if, for instance, stakes were higher or it was more necessary or any number of reasons. So that's what came to mind thinking about why it didn't work, I should say.
A recent one. Yeah. So, if there was some, God forbid there was some circumstance where yourself or a loved one would be harmed if you didn't persist in something, at all costs, you would persist. Right? Like if you have sales resistance and you hate making sales calls and someone was like, I'm going to kidnap your child unless you make 100 sales calls, you would make 100 sales calls. There would be zero hesitation, right? You just got to get the motivation to do it. So just know that potential is inside you when you get the leverage and when you get your subconscious mind on board.
Yep.
Makes sense? All right. Thanks, David. So we're going to do a process here. Like I said, we're going to install a trait into your nervous system. We're going to actually strengthen a trait that is already in you, because many of you have persisted through things in life, and we're going to strengthen that, make you more aware of that, and give you a little post-hypnotic trigger to help you move through the world as a more persistent person. All right, so everybody, if you want to get situated and get comfortable, just don't go into a deep trance quite yet. Just wait just a moment. We'll get there, don't worry. And I'm going to have you just put your palms face down on your legs for now and stare at a point just above eye level, maybe on the ceiling or the wall. Just stare at one point with your palms resting on your lap. Begin to get comfortable. And in a moment, I'm going to have you raise that left hand as slowly as possible. So you're going to keep it moving, but you're going to continue to lift that as slowly as possible so it's barely noticeable. So as you continue to stare at that point, just ever so slowly begin to lift that left hand. And notice those little sensations as your unconscious mind moves that hand up as slowly as possible. And imagine that's happening automatically. And imagine there's nothing you can do about it. And as that hand continues to slowly rise, notice your breath and relax your tongue. Just notice your tongue and your throat just completely relaxing as that hand begins to drift the other direction, going downward, ever so slowly as possible. And as it goes down, notice a feeling of expansion around your body. The density of space around your body. And in a moment, when that hand touches down, your other hand will begin to lift as slowly as possible. And when that hand touches, you can close your eyes as your other hand ever so slightly and subtly begins to lift. And it may feel like it's happening on its own. And you may notice the depth and the texture of my voice and the feeling of the space that surrounds you. As you begin to relax even more now, and it may feel like those hands belong to someone else, like you're the observer of those movements in your hands. In a moment, I'm going to say the word relax 4 times. On the 4th time, both of your hands will find their way back into your lap, and you will be in the perfect state of trance to get a new and improved subconscious program. As you begin to relax even deeper, those hands slowly finding their way back into your lap as you relax. Noticing the sensations in your body, noticing all the muscles around your eyes and your face relaxing, and you continue to relax even deeper. And the 4th and final time, finding you in that perfect state of trance, you relax all the way, knowing that your imagination is incredibly powerful. Your ability to focus and to learn is immense. You are a creative and brilliant being, ready to learn and take on new programming that will lead you to imminent success. And as you listen to my words, maybe you drift off, finding yourself in a lecture hall of an old building, an old university, sitting in one of those old wooden desk chairs surrounded by the buzzing and humming of students, all finding their way to their seats. And they're all gathered in this hall to see the world's greatest hypnotist, the world's greatest hypnotherapist. And you hear the chatter around you, and they say he can change people's habits and make them feel confident, make them feel self-love, and even get rid of chronic pain in mere moments. And you notice the stuffy air in this old lecture hall. And in a moment, that hypnotherapist is going to walk into the room. And the rest of the students from all around the world gather, and they begin to sit, find their seats, and get quiet. And the door opens, and that hypnotherapist walks into the room. And he's the perfect mixture of confidence and humility, intelligence and kindness. And you notice how comfortable and safe you feel as he begins his lecture.
And now as you go deeper and deeper into hypnosis, get a sense of that happening automatically. As you listen to my voice, each word I say takes you deeper and deeper. Get a sense of just drifting down through space and time, as if space and time no longer exists, free of all earthly ties, less and less aware of yourself as a physical being, totally aware of yourself as a mind. And that mind drifts without boundaries, without borders, without limits. An absolute understanding that the core of your being, the essence of who you are, is pure energy, light, and love. Get a sense of that now as you go deeper, deeper, deeper down. Imagine that's happening and there's nothing you can do about that. Your mind and body are flooded with that energy and light and love. An understanding that you are love, and you are loved, and you are loving. And as you get a sense of that now, every limiting belief that was ever placed on you, that never belonged to you, is swept from your mind. Every negative thought that ever held you back has gone from your mind. Get a sense that's happened. Imagine that's happened, and there's nothing you can do about that. A lightness of being you may have never experienced before. Drifting into that space with every word I say. And everything I say is your reality. Every suggestion we give you, your mind and body will act upon. At a molecular, cellular, neurological levels, now your reality. And as you drift into that dream, get a sense of that now. Go into the most beautiful dream where all your limitations have gone, where every negative thought has gone, and you are living your life the way you want to live it, living your truth, your true, authentic self. Notice the way you move and the way you breathe. Step into that body, feel into it, and get a sense of what it feels like to be able to push through every barrier, to achieve the life you truly want, a life that serves you. Get a sense of that now. Just drifting in that beautiful space, just you and the sound of my voice. And as you drift in that space, my voice, my words will drift with you to become a part of your experience now. Every word takes you deeper, deeper, deeper down into that feeling. Totally free of all physical ties. Drifting through space and time. That's right. Knowing that all of your limitations are drifting away from you. They were never yours in the first place. Get a sense of what you can achieve now that you're free. Free to be. You have all the resources you need. You have all the strength you need to achieve the life you absolutely want. And as you feel into that feeling of unconditional self-love, you now know that you are worthy of that life. To treat yourself to the life you want. You have all the strength you need. And as you drift in that space, in that dream, in that lecture hall, listening to my voice, and you slowly become aware that it's a dream.
And as that hypnotist continues to speak, you begin to drift off into another world, deeper and deeper. And you hear the sounds of a bustling market in a town in the Middle East, almost 2,000 years ago. And you begin to see the sights and smell the smells as the merchants have set up their stands to sell their wares, tables full of vibrant spices, jasmine, paprika, cinnamon. You smell the smells of those merchants cooking and selling their foods, fine leather goods and rugs from all over the Middle East. Beautiful Persian rugs and fine silk from the East. People buying and selling. You hear the clang of bronze and silver and gold coins changing hands. And it's around noontime on this warm, windy day. And you see one man in the middle of this market trying to sell his goods, his robes, with no luck. And you see his face and he looks dejected as he timidly approaches one buyer to the next, asking if they would like to buy his robes, facing rejection after rejection. And this man, you follow him down an alley, a shaded alley between some closely set buildings. And you follow him into a little back door and a little rickety flight of stairs up to his small apartment, where there's nothing but a small cot and one change of clothes. And you can see the look of despair on this man's face as he wants to quit. He thinks he's no good at selling. He's dejected. But he remembers the advice that his mentor gave him. His mentor was the greatest salesman in the world. And this mentor of his had given him a chest filled with leather scrolls that this young man was to read every day. But he didn't think it was working. He wanted to quit. He wanted to give it all up and go back to his old life. Hesitantly, he reached under his cot and pulled out this oak chest with bronze rivets. And he opened the latch and reached inside to pull out a leather scroll. And on the scroll was simply the word marked persistence. And in a timid and dejected voice, he began reading this scroll out loud to himself. I will persist until I succeed. In the Orient, young bulls are tested for the fight arena in a certain manner. Each is brought to the ring and allowed to attack a picador who pricks them with a lance. The bravery of each bull is then rated with care according to the number of times he demonstrates his willingness to charge in spite of the sting of the blade. He read on. Henceforth will I recognize that each day I am tested by life in like manner. If I persist, if I continue to try, if I continue to charge forward, I will succeed. I will persist. I will succeed. His voice became a little more confident. I was not delivered into this world in defeat, nor does failure course in my veins. I am not a sheep waiting to be prodded by my shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to walk, to talk, to sleep with the sheep. I will hear not those who weep and complain, for their disease is contagious. Let them join the sheep. The slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. I will persist until I succeed. And still more energy and more confidence started to flow through him as he continued reading the scroll. The prizes of life are at the end of each journey, not near the beginning. It is not given to me to know how many steps are necessary in order to reach my goal. Failure I may still encounter at the 1,000th step, yet success hides behind the next bend in the road. Never will I know how close it lies until I turn the corner. Always will I take another step. If that is of no avail, I will take another, and yet another. In truth, one step at a time is not too difficult. I will persist until I succeed. Now, filled with certainty and determination, he continues reading. Henceforth, I will consider each day's efforts as but one blow of my blade against a mighty oak. The first blow may cause not a tremor in the wood, nor the second, nor the third. Each blow of itself may be trifling and seem of no consequence. Yet from childish swipes, the oak will eventually tumble. So it will be with my efforts of today. I will be likened to the raindrop which washes away the mountain, the ant who devours the tiger, the star which brightens the earth, the slave who builds a pyramid. I will build my castle one brick at a time, for I know that small attempts repeated will complete any undertaking. I will persist until I succeed. I will never consider defeat, and I will remove from my vocabulary such words and phrases as quit, cannot, unable, impossible, out of the question, improbable, failure, unworkable, hopeless, and retreat. For they are the words of fools. I will avoid despair, but if this disease of the mind should infect me, then I will work on in despair. I will toil and I will endure. I will ignore the obstacles at my feet and keep mine eyes on the goals above my head. For I know that where dry desert ends, green grass grows. I will persist until I succeed. I will remember the ancient law of averages, and I will bend it to my good. I will persist with knowledge that failure to sell will increase my chance for success at the next attempt. Each nay I hear will bring me closer to the sound of yea. Each frown I meet only prepares me for the smile to come. Each misfortune I encounter will carry me in the seeds of tomorrow's good luck. I must have the night to appreciate the day. I must fail often to succeed only once. I will persist until I succeed. And now he stands and rises and speaks with full confidence and full certainty. I will try and try and try again. Each obstacle I will consider as a mere detour to my goal and a challenge to my profession. I will persist and develop my skills as the mariner develops his. By learning to ride out the wrath of each storm, I will persist until I succeed. Henceforth, I will learn and apply another secret of those who excel in my work. When each day has ended, not regarding whether it has been a success or failure, I will attempt to achieve one more sail. When my thoughts beckon my tired body homeward, I will resist the temptation to depart. I will try again. I will make one more attempt to close with victory. And if that fails, I will make another. Never will I allow any day to end with failure. Thus, I will plant the seed of tomorrow's success and gain an insurmountable advantage over those who cease their labor at a prescribed time. When others cease their struggle, then mine will begin, and my harvest will be full. I will persist until I succeed. Nor will I allow yesterday's success to lull me into today's complacency. For this is the great foundation of failure. I will forget the happenings of the day that is gone, whether they were good or bad, and greet the new sun with confidence that this day will be the best day of my life. Reaching the end of this leather scroll, he finishes with, "So long as there is breath in me, that long will I persist. For now I know one of the greatest principles of success. If I persist long enough, I will win. I will persist. I will win." And that young salesman rolls up that leather scroll and puts it back in the box, slides it under his cot, and steps back out into the marketplace, down his stairs, through the alley, and this time confidently and with determination. Every buyer he approaches, he says to himself, "I will persist until I succeed." And he makes an approach and gets rejected. And he says to himself, "I will persist until I succeed." And this happens over and over, and he never loses his enthusiasm. He never loses his confidence. And every time he faces that rejection, he hears these words, "I will persist until I succeed." And eventually, he sells 1, 2, 3 robes, and he has broken through. His persistence has paid off. And that young man would go on to become the greatest salesman in the world. And through his long and illustrious career, every time he faced rejection, he would hear that voice again. "I will persist until I succeed." And deep inside this vision, you begin to remember that you're actually sitting in a lecture hall, hearing the greatest hypnotherapist in the world give suggestions, and you begin to hear his voice again.
You have within you everything you need to succeed. The natural intelligence you were born with, the inner strength, the resources that have come from your experiences in life. All you have to do is trust your unconscious mind to achieve it for you. As you drift in that space, free of all limitations, free of every negative, limiting belief that was ever placed on you. Think for a moment about something you'd love to achieve, a way you'd love to feel, and let go of every limitation, every negative thought, and get a sense of yourself having achieved it. See it clearly in your mind and notice the way you move and breathe. Step into that body and feel into that feeling. Free of every limitation. Because now you know how good you're going to feel. Everything about your nature is inclined toward making it happen. You want that feeling. Get a sense of it now. Imagine those changes have taken place now, and there is nothing you can do about that. Something that had seemed hard to do turns out to be surprisingly easy. You will persist until you succeed. You will persist until you succeed. Go over it with your unconscious as often as you need to know that you can and you will achieve that goal. And only when the unconscious mind knows and has made those changes at a molecular, cellular, neurological level, and allows the conscious mind to accept the changes made, is in a moment, you will hear a voice that will bring you back to everyday wakeful awareness, bringing with you this feeling of strength.
And as that feeling of strength continues to grow within you, you remember your hands a moment ago were just ever so gently floating. And I wonder if they are now as well. Noticing the sensations of your body and realizing you're actually on the Breakthrough broadcast, here with Freddy and Nicholas, having a hypnotic experience. And just like when awaking from a dream, the details of the dream often fade away. But this thing you will remember. Every time you face rejection, every time you face setbacks, every time you want to quit, you will hear that voice in your head, that voice that says, I will persist until I succeed. For you have immeasurable strength, immeasurable fortitude and determination. And when you set your mind to something, you will persist until you succeed. And any doubts you may have had have already disappeared as you realize that persistence is the key to your success. You will persist through doubts, you will persist through fears, you will persist through setbacks, you will persist through criticism. You will persist and you will succeed. Noticing the sensations happening in your body now and how different you feel as this persistent person. As your unconscious mind is already imagining and making things happen in a new way since you've become this type of person, this persistent person. There is no quit in you, is there? And in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. You're going to come back into your body, awake and aware, alive. and enthusiastic for everything in your life, for every day that you have the opportunity to persist until you succeed. At 1, feeling the beat of your heart. 2, the breath in your lungs. 3, as the energy flows through your entire body, for you to realize how persistent you are. And 5, eyes opening, coming back into the room, allowing that experience of the dream world to just gently fade. And you remember these words: I will persist until I succeed. How we doing, everybody?
Still a few people coming back up.
Nick's got a big smile on his face. Chrissy, looked like you enjoyed that. Couple head nods there. Good. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I did read this chapter to you before a few weeks ago from the greatest salesman in the world, and that was the scroll that he was reading. I would highly recommend that book for any of you. It's very hypnotic. There's a lot of embedded commands in the scrolls and a great story as well. So if you want to learn hypnotic storytelling, that's a great example. And that's one of my favorite chapters. I read it by itself all the time, the one on persistence. And every time I face something difficult or I want to quit, it's an automatic programmed response, and you'll experience this as well. You'll just hear those words, I will persist until I succeed. And then your emotions will change, your energy will change, and you will be motivated to keep moving forward. I see it in myself every single day, and I'm excited to hear from all of you about how this new command operates in your system. And I would love to hear from anybody who had a great experience or wants to share any insights from that. You can just raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Who has a very clear goal in mind that you may have thought you're not going to achieve it, but now you know that if you persist, you can achieve it? Who has a goal in mind?
Teresa?
Can you share or not? No? Okay. You know, sometimes we dream big dreams, and sometimes they're almost too big for us to, and maybe a bit scary to think, I really want that. But there's a certain amount of fear attached to trying to achieve it. And it always reminds me of the story of David and Goliath. And most of us know that story. And David was a shepherd boy, and he came across this battlefield. And Goliath was a giant of a man. And the army that David belonged to, or the country he belonged to, they were petrified about going out against this giant. But David, he was just a shepherd's boy, and he only had a sling, whereas all the other people in the army had swords and shields. But he walked out and faced Goliath, and he took his sling and he hit him between the eyes with a stone and slayed this giant, Goliath. And the reason that happened was, whereas everybody in the army just saw this giant, this obstacle they could not overcome, David saw a target he couldn't miss. So I want you to think about that. What is your big goal? See it as a target you cannot miss. The bigger that goal is, the clearer it is for you to hit it. Let's just think about that. Let go. Now you've let go of all your fears. What could you not achieve if you had no fear at all? And just being able to persist until you succeed. There's very little we cannot achieve. It's just the question, how badly do you want it? What are you willing to do to make it happen? But now you know you have the resources within you. There are no limits. It's just about how badly do you want it? And what are you willing to do to make it happen? But once you've got that down, and then now you've been in this situation today with me and Nick, and that voice is going to be in your head, whether you like it or not. Every time you think about giving up, you're going to hear that voice. It's going to bug you for some months. Because every time you think, I'm not going to do this, you'll hear that voice going, I will persist until I succeed. And you'll find yourself just pushing through that barrier. How many times of your life have you had to dig deep to achieve something, and then you did it, and now it's just part of your life? Now think about those things. I don't know about you, but the driving test was tough. So many things to think about, but you push through and you keep learning. And I see people here. There's Elizabeth Sterling here, and she's a ballet dancer. I can't even imagine the amount of pain that ballet dancers go through to learn to be that good at something. I watch those girls in the Olympics on that, in the gymnastics on that beam. No, every time I watch it, I cringe. I think, how many times must they have done a somersault and landed on that beam? How many times must they have fell off that beam? How many times they must have hurt themselves to become Olympic champion on that beam? Walking on 4 inches and doing somersaults, back somersault flips. How many times must they have hurt themselves? That for me is one of the most, and I think the beam for me is the thing that I think, that girl can do that. What can I not do? If I persist, if I'm willing to push through that pain, if I'm willing to I want it badly enough. How badly do you want something? If you can figure that and feel into it, it's very little you cannot achieve, whether it's physical goal, career goal, financial goal, whatever it might be. Just think about it.
Freddie, I think there's one reason, and this kind of just came to me, why people often don't persist. And I think it's just pride. I think because to persist through something means, we have to face rejection and fear and doubts and the possibility of failures and the possibility of setbacks. And, think about, I know there's a lot of hypnotists on here. When you first learn hypnosis, to sit down with somebody and try to hypnotize them, right? Like there's this level of, is this going to work? And I don't want my pride to get hurt. So many people, they don't go out and hypnotize anybody. They go take another course and another lesson because they don't put it on the line. They don't persist through that feeling. And it's the same with sales. It's the same with dating. It's the same with anything we want to do. Is we have to learn to set that pride aside and persist through all of those feelings and really allow ourselves to go through that stage of being humbled until we get to that level of unconscious competence where it's just automatic and it's just part of our life.
Robert's got a hand up.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, I think part of the thing too, though, is, and I'm sure everybody else has gone through this, you persist at something and you finally attain it, and then it's like, it didn't seem to be worth going through all that you went through.
Right.
And then there are other times where we didn't persist, where you wonder what would have happened if you did. And then you kind of go back to, well, the last time I did that, it didn't turn out, so I think that has something to do with it.
Well, I think, something that's occurred to me recently, and it's come from a friend of mine, and it's about what she said to me was that as human beings, we're geared toward pleasure and we want to feel good. And I've known people, and I've done it myself, where you think, when I achieve that, that's going to fill that gap. And because most of us have like something, just not fulfilled. So we think, when I earn that money, or I get that house, or I do this, or I achieve that, then I'm going to be fulfilled. And then we work and work and work toward it. And then we find that we actually we get it, and we're still not fulfilled. So for me, I think it's important when we're looking into the future and we're thinking, oh, that's what I want to be, that's what I want to do, take the time out to actually, we did it today when I took you into hypnosis, to feel into that outcome, get a sense of what it feels like, and then ask this question. And I know this sounds kind of flippant, but it's not. Step into that future self, having achieved your goal, and ask this question: how much fun is this? How much fun can I make it? How important is it for me? And if you find it's not fun, if you find it's not that important, then change your goal. I have seen so many people spend so many years working toward a goal, only to find that when they get there, it's not what they want. So whatever it is you're thinking about achieving, or you want in your life, just ask that, take the time out. You all know how to do hypnosis now. Go into trance and then feel into the outcome. Actually get a sense of what it feels like and ask that question: how much fun is this? How much fun can I make it? How important is it for me? If we feel that, that's important to me, can be, if you've got a family to support, if you've got people that rely on you, so how important is it for me? And then feel into it, ask that question. If it's not important, if it's not fun, change your goal. Because as Robert said, so often you persist and persist, and then find you've spent all that energy and you get to where you want to go. So I would ask you all to think about what you want, feel into the outcome. Because again, if we know how good we're going to feel, everything about our nature is inclined toward make it happen. Because in the back of your mind, when I achieve this goal, I'm going to feel good. You won't need someone to motivate you every day. You just know how you're going to feel. But we have to, as we've been saying here, you've got to persist through that barrier. And Robert was saying, or I think it might, Robert or Nicholas was saying about, it's the fear of, if we try it and we fail, how are we going to feel about that? And what are other people going to feel? Which is an even bigger fear. I'd ask you all, and we're going to work with you on over these next few weeks and months, once you drop the fear of being judged, that puts you in an awesome space. When you're doing things because it's what's going to serve you, it's what's going to give you fulfillment, not worrying about what other people think about you. Because it is the big problem. I've been doing this for a very long time. And if you dig into what makes people unhappy or makes people anxious, it comes down to what other people think. What are they going to think about me? Once you're past that, that is an awesome space to be in. And we're going to work with you on it. And the fear of failure. What if I fail? It is the big phobia. It's the biggest phobia. What if I persist and people know I'm persisting? I make a statement. I am going to achieve this. And then you persist, and then what happens? It's not that you're not going to achieve it. If you persist, you will achieve it. But what if I give up so along the way? What are people going to think? What if I fail at this? We've said this before, and I know you've heard me say it before. We should be looking at failure as our ally, not as our enemy, not as something to be avoided, but something to seek out, to push and seek out, persist until you fail. Because it's not until you fail that you grow. You don't grow in a comfort zone. We can all live in that safe space. if I don't try this, if I don't persist, if I don't go for this, I can't fail at it. It's a comfortable place if you stay in that comfortable position. If you really want to be everything you want to be, if you really want to live a life that serves you, you have to, one, let go of the fear of judgment, and two, or number one probably, look at failure as your ally, as something to be working toward, not running away from. It's painful sometimes when you fail, but it's in that moment. You know, when Nicholas was talking about that chapter from the Greatest Salesman, how many rejections do you have to take before you get a yes? But we know if we're not all here for financial goals, but if you're in sales, you know it's percentage. You know it's percentage. You know if you persist, you're going at some point someone's going to say yes. Some years ago, I worked with a girl who did telesales, and she'd been traveling around Far East. And she had a couple of years off work, and she came back because she was lacking a bit of confidence. And she got a job in a recruitment, telesales recruitment. And she asked me to help her. I anchored a feeling into the phone. They had phones in them days, and I've probably got these head things now. We had a phone, and I anchored a feeling into that phone that she would be grateful for everyone that said no, because she knew that person just pushed her one closer to the person and say yes. She'd phone up. It was Parcel Force she worked for, and she'd phone up and say, "Hi, I'm Nikki, and Nikki from Parcel Force." They go, "Oh, clear off, Nikki," or whatever, the person on the other end, and she'd honestly say, "Thanks very much for your time. Have a lovely day." Put the phone down and dial again. Whereas other people, some of us, and when someone's horrible to you on the phone, you go make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. You do anything other than pick the phone up again because it hurt. But not Nikki. She would just be grateful, and she'd say honestly, "Thanks for your time. Have a lovely day." Internet. She was the top salesperson for Parcel Force, purely because she understood it was percentage. And it's the same. We are going to fail at stuff. If you want to develop your body, you've got to work until you fail. If you really want to develop your body, and there are going to be times when you fall off the wagon. If you're you say, "I'm going to go on this diet," or "I'm going to go on that diet, I'm going to do this." I'm going to fall off the wagon at times. But it's not about falling off the wagon. It's about getting back on the wagon. I think Muhammad Ali said, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up that matters. If you're in any situation, you're going to get knocked down at times, and people stay down. But it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And we are going to fail at stuff. Once you're past these two things, the fear of judgment and the fear of failure, there is very little you cannot achieve. How badly do you want it? What are you willing to do to make it happen? These are the questions, and then you're going to be stuck with it anyway. That voice in your head, when you think about what we've done this evening and what we've been talking about this evening, that voice in your head is going to go, "I will persist until I succeed." And you'll find yourself achieving so much more in your life.
Robert, I had two quick things on your comment there. One of them is, first of all, you want to listen to your internal guidance. Many people are seeking things that, and we've done this process. We'll continue to do these type of processes. Many people are seeking things that their parents or their society wants them to achieve, and they're not persisting to something that's their true authentic self goal, right? We did our authentic self hypnosis a week or two ago. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, what if you persisted into becoming something instead of achieving something externally? So I will persist until I'm a great salesman, instead of I will persist until I reach some sort of goal, right? And so you set it as developing yourself. Does that make sense? Does that help? Anything?
Yes, and something else that Freddie said earlier that really kind of shook me to my core is, I guess, the perspective of things, because we all have our own perspective and we never change it. the David and Goliath story that Freddie was talking about is something I've heard since I was a little kid. I'm sure we all have. And the part that he said that really threw me was David saw Goliath as a target he couldn't miss. And that's the way I'm going to think about that from now on. And that really changed. Thank you for that, Freddie.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. You know, so often we just have to look at something in a different way to see it differently. If you look at failure, like I've been saying tonight, in that way of looking at it, of being your ally, something that's to work toward, something that's to use rather than be afraid of. What could you not achieve if you had no fear of failure? What could you not achieve if you weren't concerned about what other people thought if you failed? Just think about those two things. What do you want? You know, I look around this screen. I've known some of you for a long time. Some I've met in person, some I've known online. I know how incredible you are. I know it. But sometimes you don't see it. You know, we look in the mirror and we see everything that's wrong with us. That's not what other people see. Sometimes I just think, I wish you could believe what I believe about you, because you would achieve so much in your life. You know, I know what you can achieve. I've met some of you. It's just about going, okay, well, maybe Freddie sees something that I don't see. I have to accept that of myself. I never see what other people see. I think it's funny that people think what they think about me. You know, well, you're so disciplined, Freddie. You're this, you're that. No, I can't see it. I have to accept sometimes that maybe people are seeing something I'm never going to see. And it's the same for all of you. What could you not achieve if you had no fear of failure and no fear of judgment? What could you not achieve? Then it just comes down to that simple question. What do I really want? What's going to serve my soul? What's going to fulfill my soul? And how badly do I want that? And the last is the big question. What am I willing to do to make that happen? What am I willing to do? If you answer those questions, there are no limits. Seriously, there are no limits. Just think about this evening, because you are going to be stuck with that voice in your head. And you are going to achieve those. You achieve so much more. We can dream about things. I see it all the time, you know, watching the Olympics, think, I wish I could run like that while we're eating a bag of crisps. Like, you know, like, how bad do you want to run like that? You know, how badly do you want a body like that? How bad do you want to achieve that? How bad do you want to earn that money? You know, what do you want? What are you willing to do to make it happen?
Freddie, I've got to take off here, but I think I've got two new ideas for our future breakthrough broadcasts, and one of them we'll do a failure and rejection reframe so that everybody's nervous system like feels great and feels good with rejection and failure, and it doesn't deter them at all. So we can do that, and then I have another one which is a little perspective shift that we can allow them to see themselves how other people see them. So anyway, we'll do more on that later, but I got to run here. Does anyone?
Yeah, thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, does anyone want to share anything before we go? Anyone have any comments?
We're all stunned. You can't wait to get started. Diana's put her hand up, but I can stay, Nick, if you want.
I've been waiting to hear from Diana all night, so I'll stick around.
It's not that great. It's just that it made me think. I've been trying and persisting on something for 2 years. I won't go into it, but I have. And everything has knocked me back. And I sort of gave up. But you'll be pleased to know tomorrow I will start again. Okay?
Good.
Right.
And that doesn't mean
tomorrow.
Pardon?
Why wait till tomorrow?
I'm not doing it. Oh, I could do it tonight. I start. Yeah, I will. There you go. I will.
Diana, that doesn't mean you can't adapt your approach and to take feedback and to see new ways of going at it, right?
Yeah, but I
Still-
have been adapting for 2
Okay.
years.
All right. Well, if it's important to you, you know, you will persist until you succeed. I'm very
Okay.
confident.
I never let a challenge beat me normally, but 2 years is quite a long time to battle. Never mind. My persistence is back, Nick.
That's great to hear. Great to hear. All right. I'll see you all next week. Love you all. Can't wait to
Bye.
see you.
Take
Can't wait to
care.
hear about
Weekend.
how this
Bye.
process has changed your life, and see you soon.
Okay. Is anyone